Seattle's got a way of sneaking up on you. It's March 2025, and the rain's tapping against the windows of Rainier Hub like it's got a personal vendetta against silence. Inside this little community center tucked in the heart of South Seattle, the air smells faintly of damp jackets and the lavender oil I've got burning in the corner. I'm in my element, hair tied back in a messy bun, wearing my favorite faded Breathe Deep t-shirt that's seen more yoga classes than I can count. The hardwood floor creaks under my bare feet as I guide a dozen teenage girls through a sun salutation they're only half paying attention to. They're giggling, sneaking glances at their phones, but I don't mind. This is what I built Rainier Roots for, giving kids from the rougher parts of town a space to just be. No judgment, no pressure. All right, y'all, I say, my voice cutting through their chatter. Let's try that one more time. Inhale, reach up. Come on, Tasha. I see you hiding back there. Tasha, a wiry 15-year-old with braids down her back, rolls her eyes but lifts her arms anyway. The room's buzzing with that chaotic, beautiful energy of girls who don't quite know how strong they are yet. I'm grinning, feeling that familiar warmth in my chest when the door swings open. The sound's sharp, metal hinges groaning against the quiet hum of rain, and I glance up expecting Ray, my assistant, hauling in more yoga mats. But it's not Ray. It's a man in a plain black sweater and jeans, shaking water off his dark hair like a dog coming in from the storm. He's tall, broad-shouldered, and there's something about the way he carries himself. Quiet confidence, not loud, like the tech bros who flood the city. He steps inside, and for a split second, I freeze. Those eyes, kind, steady, crinkling just a bit at the corners. I'd know them anywhere. Ethan Brooks. Time does this weird thing where it slows down and speeds up all at once. My heart's pounding like it's trying to break out of my chest, but my hands stay steady as I lower them from the pose I'm demoing. 3 years. 3 damn years since I last saw him, back in Chicago, back when I was slinging lattes and he was wearing suits that cost more than my rent. Back when I told him no and walked away. Lila? His voice cuts through the room, soft but sure, like he's testing the waters. The girls turn, curious, and I can feel their eyes darting between us. He's standing there, dripping wet, a faint smile tugging at his lips, and I swear I forget how to breathe for a second. Keep going, he says, nodding toward the class like he didn't just turn my whole morning upside down. He slips to the back, taking a seat on one of the rickety folding chairs, and I'm left standing there, trying to remember what the hell I was saying. Right, exhale, fold forward, I manage, my voice a little shakier than I'd like. The girls snicker, and Tasha mutters something about Miss Lila losing it, but I power through. My mind's racing 1,000,000 miles an hour. Ethan Brooks here, in my space? Last I heard, he was some big-shot billionaire running mergers and shaking hands with senators. What's he doing at Rainier Hub, looking like he just rolled out of a thrift store? The class stumbles on for another 20 minutes, and I'm hyper-aware of him the whole time. He's not scrolling on his phone or fidgeting like most adults who wander in here. He's watching, really watching, hands clasped in his lap. That same calm focus I remember from years ago. When I finally call it quits and the girls start rolling up their mats, he stands, brushing a hand through his damp hair. There's a few strands of silver in it now, I notice. Time's been kind to him, but it's left its mark. Miss Lila, who's the guy? Tasha whispers, nudging me as she slings her backpack over her shoulder. He's kinda cute for an old dude. Shush, I hiss, swatting her away, but my cheeks are burning. The girls filter out, chattering about the rain and weekend plans, and then it's just me and him. The room feels smaller all of a sudden, the air thick with 3 years of unsaid things. Didn't expect to see you here, Ethan, I say, crossing my arms like that'll shield me from whatever's coming. My voice is steady now, but my stomach's doing flips. He steps closer, hands in his pockets, that faint smile still there. Life's funny like that, he says. I was checking on a youth program we're funding here. Didn't know this was your turf. He glances around, taking in the mismatched rugs, the flyers for free meditation sessions pinned to the wall. You're doing something amazing, Lila. There's no trace of the polished billionaire I met back in Chicago. No crisp suit, no flashy watch, just jeans and a sweater. And those damn eyes that always saw too much. I don't know what to say, so I just nod, fiddling with the hem of my shirt. You sticking around? I ask, mostly to fill the silence. Got a few minutes, he says. Mind if I talk to the kids? I'm curious what they're dreaming about these days. Sure, I say, stepping back as he walks over to where Tasha and a couple others are lingering by the door. I watch him crouch down to their level, asking about school, their plans, what they want out of life. He's got a little notebook, worn, edges frayed, and he's jotting down notes like it's the most important thing in the world. No cameras, no PR team, just him. Tasha's shy at first, but then she's rattling off how she wants to be a mechanic, fix up old cars like her uncle used to. Ethan nods, scribbling, and I catch myself staring. This isn't the Ethan I knew, or maybe it is, and I just didn't see it back then. When the girls finally head out, he turns back to me, tucking the notebook into his pocket. They're lucky to have you, he says, and there's that warmth in his voice again, the kind that used to throw me off balance. Yeah, well, somebody's got to show 'em they're enough, I say, shrugging like it's no big deal. But it is. It's everything. We stand there for a beat, rain drumming outside, and I can feel the weight of the past 3 years hanging between us. I don't know what he's doing here, not really, or why fate decided to drop him back into my life on a random Saturday morning. But standing in this little room I've poured my heart into, with him looking at me like he's seeing me for the first time all over again, I can't help but wonder. 3 years ago, I said no to him. I turned down a man who could have bought this whole damn city if he wanted to, and I thought that was the end of it. I was just a small-town girl from Georgia, scraping by in Chicago, juggling coffee shifts and yoga gigs, trying to keep my head above water. He was Ethan Brooks, billionaire, big shot, the kind of guy who didn't hear no too often. Everyone thought I was crazy. Hell, sometimes I thought I was crazy. But that no set me on a path I never saw coming. A path that led me here, to Seattle, to Rainier roots, to this moment. And now he's back, standing in my world, and I've got no idea what happens next. Hey, y'all, I say, breaking the fourth wall for a second like I'm talking straight to you. If you're hooked on me and Ethan's story already, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment. Have you ever run into someone from your past like this? 'Cause trust me, this is just the beginning. Chicago's a beast of a city. Gritty, loud, and always moving. It's late summer 2022, and I'm behind the counter at Brew Haven, a little coffee shop wedged between a vape store and a laundromat in Logan Square. The place is buzzing with the morning rush, suits barking orders into their AirPods, Moms juggling strollers and iced lattes, the hiss of the espresso machine cranking out caffeine like it's life support. I'm 25, broke as hell, and pulling double duty, barista by day, yoga teacher by night, just to keep my tiny studio apartment from swallowing me whole. My name tag's crooked again, Lila in chipped black letters, and I'm wiping down the counter when the door chimes. I don't look up right away. It's just another suit in the parade of execs who treat this place like their personal gas station. But then I hear Jess, my coworker, let out a low whistle under her breath. Well, damn. Check out Mr. Tall, dark, and loaded, she mutters, nudging me with her elbow. I roll my eyes and glance over, ready to brush it off. But then I see him. Ethan Brooks. I don't know his name yet, but he's got that vibe. Tall, confident stride, crisp gray suit that screams money. His hair's dark, swept back just enough to look effortless, and he's got this easy way of moving, like the world bends to him, not the other way around. He's not glued to his phone like the rest of them, though. His eyes, those damn kind eyes, scan the room, and when they land on me, he smiles. Not the tight, dismissive smirk I'm used to from these types, but something real, warm, like he's actually seeing me. "Good morning," he says when he gets to the counter, voice smooth and steady, cutting through the chaos like a hot knife through butter. I blink, caught off guard, and fumble with the rag in my hands. Morning," I say, straightening up. "What can I get you?" He's about to answer when it happens. Chaos in 3, 2, 1. Some dude in a cheap blazer yakking on his phone about a Q3 deadline barrels past and slams right into Ethan. The guy doesn't even stop, just mutters a "watch it" and keeps going. But Ethan stumbles forward, catching himself on the counter. My hand's already reaching out with a cappuccino I just finished for another order, and splash. Coffee. Everywhere. All over his pristine suit, dripping down his tie, pooling on the marble countertop I just cleaned. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry," I blurt, grabbing a stack of napkins and shoving them at him. My face is burning, and Jess is cackling behind me like this is the funniest thing she's seen all week. I expect him to snap, yell, demand the manager, maybe threaten to sue the shop into next year. These rich types don't mess around when you ruin their vibe. But he doesn't. He laughs, a real deep laugh that makes his eyes crinkle at the corners, and he starts dabbing at his suit with the napkins. "Guess this is one way to wake up in the morning," he says, grinning like it's no big deal. I'm standing there, mortified, muttering apologies like a broken record, but he waves me off. "Please," he says, still chuckling, "let me buy you a coffee to replace this one." I blink. "I'm working," I say, pointing at my apron like it's not obvious. "And that wasn't even yours." "Fair," he says, leaning against the counter, unfazed by the wet stains spreading across his shirt. "How about when you're off? I'll wait." Jess is losing it now, pretending to steam milk but really just eavesdropping. I shoot her a glare, then turn back to him. "Look, I don't date customers," I say, keeping my tone firm. "It's my rule, keeps things simple in a life that's already a mess." He tilts his head, that smile still hanging on. "Good thing I'm wearing most of my coffee instead of drinking it," he says. And damn if it doesn't almost make me laugh. Almost. That should have been it. A cute moment, a little flirtation, end of story. But the next day, he's back. Same time, different suit. Navy this time, just as sharp. He orders a flat white, remembers my name. Lila, right? And tips big, sliding a 20 into the jar like it's nothing. Day after that, he's there again, asking how my night was, ordering a cortado. Every time he's got that smile, that patience, like he's got all the time in the world to wear me down. Jess is all over it. "Girl, he's into you," she says one morning, elbowing me as he leaves. "And he's loaded. I Googled him. Ethan Brooks, some tech billionaire. You're nuts to keep saying no." "Maybe I am," I mutter, but I don't budge. I've seen too many girls from back home in Georgia fall for the shiny fairy tale, only to end up as arm candy for some dude who doesn't even know their middle name. I'm not about to be another notch on a rich guy's belt. Then comes the kicker. It's a Thursday, and I'm dragging myself home after a late yoga class, feet aching, when I find it. A sleek black envelope slipped under my apartment door. Inside, an invite to a charity gala downtown. Some fancy thing for urban education. There's a note in neat handwriting. "Be my guest of honor, Lila. Ethan." And then, later that night, a knock. A delivery guy hands me a box, and inside is a dress, deep teal, silky, with a price tag that makes my stomach drop. $2,000. More than I make in a month, maybe two. I'm pissed. Not at him exactly, but at what it means. I don't sleep that night, just sit on my lumpy couch, staring at that dress like it's a loaded gun. By morning, I've made up my mind. He's waiting outside Brew Haven when I get there, leaning against a Tesla that's too modest to scream billionaire, but still costs more than my life. That smile's on his face, but it falters when he sees me holding the box out. "I can't accept this," I say, voice steady even though my hands are shaking. The invite, the dress, none of it. "Lila," he starts, stepping closer, but I cut him off. "No, listen," I say, meeting his eyes. "You're an amazing person, Ethan. I can tell, but this isn't me. I'm not some Cinderella you get to dress up and parade around. I won't be the broke black girl who got lucky with a billionaire. I need to write my own story, not step into yours." His face changes. Shock, then hurt, raw and real. "That's not what this is about," he says, voice soft but urgent. "I see you, Lila. The real you." "Do you?" I shoot back. Because from where I'm standing, it feels like you're trying to lift me into your world instead of meeting me in mine. That dress, that gala, it's not my life, and I'm not apologizing for that. He doesn't argue, just stands there, hands in his pockets, rain starting to drizzle down around us. I hand him the box, and he takes it, fingers brushing mine for a second that feels like forever. "If that's what you need," he says finally, voice low, "then I respect it." I nod, turn, and walk inside, leaving him there in the wet Chicago morning. Jess is gaping at me through the window, mouthing, "What the hell?" But I don't look back. My chest feels tight, like I've just run a marathon, but there's a fire in me too. For the first time in a long time, I feel like I've stood up for myself. For the Lila who's more than a barista, more than a sob story. It's not until later, I hear the whispers. Ethan Brooks, tech titan, philanthropist, a guy who could buy this whole block and not blink. And I said no to him. People call me crazy, ungrateful, stubborn as hell. Maybe they're right. But walking away that day, I feel something else. Free. Chicago doesn't let you off easy. It's fall 2022 now, a couple months after I handed that teal dress back to Ethan and watched him walk away in the rain. The city's turning crisp, leaves crunching under my beat-up sneakers, the wind off Lake Michigan slicing through my jacket as I hustle to Brew Haven for the morning shift. You'd think saying no to a billionaire would fade into the background, just another wild story to laugh about over beers. But nope. That moment's got legs, and it's running wild through my life like a kid hyped up on sugar. Inside the shop, it's the usual chaos. Espresso machine hissing, customers grumbling about wait times, the faint smell of burnt toast lingering from Jess's latest kitchen fumble. My name tag's still crooked, and I'm steaming oat milk when Jess sidles up, her apron smeared with caramel syrup. "So," she says, smirking like she's got the juiciest gossip. "Word's out, girl. People are talking." "Talking about what?" I ask, keeping my eyes on the picture even though I know exactly what she means. "You know," she says, leaning in. "The billionaire, Ethan Brooks. Folks can't believe you turned him down. I mean, I told a couple regulars, okay, maybe more than a couple, and now it's like a thing." I groan, setting the picture down harder than I mean to. "Jess, why'd you have to go blabbing? It's not a reality show." She shrugs, unbothered. "Come on, Lila, it's nuts. Guy's worth millions. Billions, maybe, and you're out here steaming milk like it's no big deal. People are calling you the barista who said no. It's kinda badass." "Badass," I mutter, wiping my hands on my apron. Feels more like a headache. But she's not wrong. It's spreading. By noon, I catch a customer sneaking a pic of me with his phone, and when I glare, he just grins and says, "You're famous, right? The chick who ditched the rich dude?" I want to crawl under the counter and disappear. My phone's buzzing too, Instagram notifications piling up, random strangers DMing me stuff like "You're crazy" or "Queen move, girl." My mom, Denise, calls from Georgia that night, her voice crackling through the line like she's about to burst. "Lila Mae Jackson," she starts, and I know I'm in for it when she pulls out the full name. "Tell me I didn't hear right. A good man with money asked you out, and you said no." "Ma, it's not like that," I say, flopping onto my couch, the springs creaking under me. My apartment's a shoebox, peeling paint, a single bulb flickering overhead, but it's mine. He sent me a dress worth $2,000 and wanted me to be his gala date. I'm not some doll he gets to dress up. She sighs, long and dramatic, the way only Southern mamas can. "Baby, a good man with means doesn't come around twice. You're too stubborn for your own good. What's wrong with letting somebody take care of you?" "I don't need taking care of," I snap, sharper than I mean to. "I need to stand on my own, Ma. You raised me to do that, didn't you?" There's a pause, then a softer, "Yeah, I did." But still, Ethan Brooks? Lord have mercy. I hang up feeling heavier than before. She's not wrong about one thing. It's hard to shake the "what if?" Ethan's face keeps popping into my head. Those kind eyes, that hurt flicker when I handed back the dress. Was I too harsh? Did I misread him? I shove the thoughts down, but they keep bubbling up, especially on quiet nights when I'm alone with the hum of the city outside my window. At Brew Haven, Jess doesn't let it die. She's turned it into her personal mission to keep the story alive, regaling every regular with exaggerated versions. And then Lila's like, "Take your fancy dress and shove it," she says one morning, waving a spatula for effect while a guy in a Cubs hat nods like he's impressed. I shoot her a look, but she just laughs. "What?" "It's true. You're a legend now." "More like a punching bag," I mutter, pouring a double shot for a customer who's staring at me like I'm a zoo exhibit. It's not just the shop, either. My yoga classes at the community center start getting weird, too. Ray, this skinny 17-year-old who's been coming to my sessions for months, corners me one night after a flow class. He's got this earnest look, all big eyes and chipped front tooth, and he says, "Miss Lila, is it true you told off some rich guy? My cousin said you're like famous now." I laugh, but it's tight. "Not famous, Ray. Just me." He grins. "That's dope, though. Means you don't need nobody to make it, right? You're doing it yourself." His words hit me harder than I expect. Ray's from the South Side, grew up with nothing, same as me back in Georgia. He's been showing up to my free classes since I started them, hauling his little sister along sometimes, and he looks at me like I've got all the answers. Now he's standing there, proud of me, and it's this weird mix of pressure and pride. I don't want to let him down, but damn, it's heavy. "Yeah," I say, forcing a smile. Something like that. The days blur after that. Coffee, yoga, rinse, repeat. Ethan stops coming to Brew Haven, and I tell myself it's for the best. But then I hear about him anyway. Jess, of course, digging up dirt online. "Get this," she says one slow afternoon, scrolling on her phone. "Your boy's opening a chain of coffee shops, not fancy ones, community stuff, hiring kids from tough neighborhoods. That's some Robin Hood vibes right there." I freeze mid-wipe, the rag dripping in my hand. "He's not my boy," I say, but my voice wavers. "Community shops? That's not the Ethan I pegged him for, the suit-wearing, gala-throwing type. Did I get him wrong?" The thought gnaws at me, and I hate it. I said no because I had to, because I couldn't let him, or anyone, turn me into someone I'm not. But now I'm second-guessing everything, and the world won't shut up about it. One night, I'm sitting on my couch, the city glowing orange through my cracked blinds. My phone's dead quiet for once. No DMs, no calls, and I'm just staring at the wall, replaying that morning with Ethan. The hurt in his eyes, the way he didn't fight me, just took the dress and left. I'd felt so sure then, so righteous, but now I'm alone in this tiny apartment, busting my ass to pay rent, and part of me wonders if I threw away something real. I shake it off, stand up, grab my yoga mat. I've got a class to teach, a life to live. People can call me crazy all they want. I'm not bending for anyone. But as I lock the door and head out into the chilly Chicago night, there's this ache I can't shake, this whisper asking if I'll ever see him again. And if I do, will I still be brave enough to say no? Seattle's a different animal from Chicago. It's fall 2024, and I've been here a year now, trading the Midwest hustle for the damp, green sprawl of the Pacific Northwest. The air's thick with the smell of pine and wet asphalt as I unlock the door to Rainier Roots, my little wellness center tucked in a rundown strip mall off Rainier Avenue. It's not much, a single room with chipped paint, a couple yoga mats I scored secondhand, and a dream I've been clawing toward since I left Brew Haven behind. No more coffee stains on my apron. No more late-night yoga gigs in borrowed spaces. This is mine, built from scratch with every penny I scraped together over 2 years. The rain's coming down in sheets outside, drumming against the roof like it's trying to drown out my thoughts. I flip on the lights, flickering fluorescents that buzz like angry bees, and start setting up for tonight's class. It's a sliding scale session. $5 if you've got it, free if you don't. That's the whole point of Rainier Roots. Wellness isn't just for the tech bros and yoga moms with Lululemon budgets. It's for the single moms, the kids like Ray, the folks who'd never stepped foot in a fancy studio. I'm wiping down the floor when Ray ducks in, shaking water off his hoodie. "Yo, Miss Lila," he says, grinning that chip-tooth grin I've known since Chicago. He's 19 now, taller, still skinny as a rail, and he followed me out here last spring after I told him about this crazy plan. "You see the forecast? We're gonna need a boat in here soon." "Tell me about it," I say, tossing him a towel. "You're early. Help me with these mats?" He nods, dropping his backpack by the door. Ray's my right hand these days, runs errands, helps with classes, keeps me sane when the doubts creep in. He's still got that spark, that belief I'm some kind of hero, and it's both a boost and a burden. I can't let him down. Can't let myself down either. The class goes smooth. 10 people show up, a mix of regulars and new faces, stretching and breathing under my guidance. The room smells like lavender and sweat, and for a couple hours, everything feels right. But when they're gone and it's just me and Ray locking up, reality crashes back. I pull out my laptop, sit cross-legged on the floor, and open the latest email from the landlord. Rent's going up, way up. Some developers sniffing around the strip mall, and they're jacking prices to squeeze us out. I've got 2 months to figure it out, or Rainier Roots is toast. "Shit," I mutter, rubbing my temples. Ray glances over, eyebrows raised. "What's up, boss?" "Money," I say, slamming the laptop shut. "Always money." He doesn't push, just nods like he gets it. He does. Grew up with less than nothing. Same as me. But this feels personal, like the universe is testing how bad I want this dream. A week later, I'm still scrambling, calling banks, hunting grants, anything to keep the lights on, when she walks in, Claire Voss. I don't know her yet, but she's got that polished look. Blonde bob, tailored coat, heels clicking on my scuffed floor like she owns the place. She's all smiles, handing me a business card that says, Voss Ventures, in sleek gold letters. "Lila Jackson?" she says, voice crisp. "I've heard about your work here. Impressive." "Thanks," I say, wary. "What's this about?" She sits, uninvited, on one of my folding chairs, crossing her legs like we're at a board meeting. "I'm an investor," she says. "Specialize in wellness startups. Rainier Roots has potential, real potential. I'd like to fund you." I blink, caught off guard. "Fund me? Like how?" "A partnership," she says, leaning forward. "I'd cover your rent, expand the space, bring in top-tier equipment. We could turn this into a brand. Think boutique studios, premium classes, maybe a product line. Yoga's hot right now, and you've got the grit to sell it." It sounds too good, and that's the problem. What's the catch? I ask, arms crossed. No catch, she says, but her smile tightens. Just a shift in vision. We'd target a higher-end clientele, tech execs, influencers. Seattle's full of them, and they'll pay big for the experience you're offering. I feel my stomach twist. That's not what this is, I say, voice low. Rainier Roots isn't for rich folks. It's for the people who can't afford that stuff. Moms working double shifts, kids with nowhere else to go. I'm not turning it into some bougie spa. Claire tilts her head, like she's sizing me up. You're throwing away a gold mine, Lila. This could make you, really make you. Why settle for scraping by when you could build something big? Because it's not about me, I snap. It's about them. I'd rather keep my soul than sell it. She stands, brushing imaginary lint off her coat. Think it over, she says, handing me another card. You've got my number. But opportunities like this don't wait forever. She's gone before I can say more, leaving me alone with the rain and a sinking feeling. Ray's out grabbing dinner, so it's just me, staring at that card like it's a ticking bomb. Claire's offer is tempting. God, is it tempting? No more begging banks, no more sleepless nights wondering if I'll lose this place. But at what cost? Turning my back on everything I fought for? I chuck the card into my bag and grab my mat. I need to move, need to breathe. A week later, I'm still wrestling with it when I decide, screw it. I'm not caving. I call Ray and a few regulars, and we throw together a community fundraiser. It's small, bake sale vibes with flyers taped up around the neighborhood, a donation jar by the door. We pull in a couple grand over a weekend, enough to buy me a few more months, but not enough to fix the root problem. I'm sitting on the floor after, counting crumpled bills, when Ray flops down next to me. We'll find a way, boss, he says, popping a leftover cookie in his mouth. You've got us. Yeah, I say, forcing a smile. I know. But I don't know. Not really. The banks won't budge, the landlord's breathing down my neck, and Claire's words keep echoing. You're throwing away a gold mine. I'm alone in the dark now, rain streaking the windows, and for the first time I feel small. I've been running on grit and stubbornness since Chicago, since I told Ethan no and set out to prove I could do this on my own. But what if I can't? What if this dream I've poured everything into slips through my fingers? I think about Ethan then, randomly, stupidly. Haven't seen him in 2 years, but Jess's old gossip floats back. Community coffee shops, helping kids like Ray. Maybe he wasn't just a suit after all. Maybe he got it, in a way I didn't see back then. I shake it off, lock up, step into the wet Seattle night. I'm not done fighting, not yet. But damn, it's hard, and I'm tired, and part of me wonders if I'm chasing a ghost. Seattle doesn't mess around when it wants to break you. It's early 2025, and the rain's been relentless, gray sheets pounding the city like it's trying to wash me out. Rainier Roots is hanging by a thread, and I'm running on fumes. The fundraiser bought us a couple months, but the landlord's done playing nice. Rent's due, and he's got a developer ready to turn this strip mall into condos for tech bros who don't even blink at $1 million price tag. I'm sitting in the dark at the center, laptop glowing on my lap, staring at another rejection email from a bank. We regret to inform you. Yeah, regret's a real bitch. Ray's been hustling with me, plastering flyers around South Seattle, begging anyone who'll listen to chip in. He's out now, grabbing us some pho from the spot down the street, leaving me alone with the hum of the radiator and the drip, drip, drip from a leak I can't afford to fix. I'm about to call it a night when the door swings open. Not Ray, but Claire Voss, strutting in like she owns the damn place. Her coat's dry, probably got a driver waiting outside, and she's got that same polished smile, sharp as a knife. "Lila," she says, voice all honey and steel. "I heard you're in a bind. Thought I'd check in." "Check in, huh?" I say, shutting my laptop. "Or swoop in." She laughs, light and fake, and sits without asking. "Let's call it an opportunity. I know about your rent trouble, word travels. I'm still willing to invest, but I've upped the offer. I'll buy Rainier Roots outright, keep you on as manager and turn it into a chain. Premium wellness coast to coast. You'd be set for life." I feel my jaw tighten. And what happens to the people who need this place, the ones who can't pay your premium prices? "They'll adapt," she says, shrugging. "Or they won't. That's business, Lila. You can't save everyone." "I'm not trying to save everyone," I snap. "I'm trying to give them a shot. This isn't about profit. It's about roots, about community. You wouldn't get that." Her smile fades, eyes narrowing. "I get more than you think. I've been where you are, scrapping, dreaming. But I learned you don't win by staying small. Take the deal, or lose it all. Your choice." She drops a contract on the table, thick, official, the kind of thing that'd bury me in fine print, and walks out, heels clicking into the rain. I'm left staring at it, heart pounding, palms sweaty. She's right about one thing. I'm out of moves. The bank's a no, the fundraiser's tapped out, and I've got nothing left to sell. Rainier Roots is my soul, but it's slipping away, and I don't know how to stop it. That's when fate decides to kick the door down, literally. It's Saturday morning, a week later, and I'm at Rainier Hub, the community center a few blocks over, teaching my free yoga class for the teens. The rain's still hammering outside, but inside it's warm, alive with giggles and off-key breathing. I'm mid-downward dog calling out, "Tasha, quit texting," when the door creaks open. I glance up, expecting a latecomer, and my world tilts. Ethan Brooks. He's standing there, soaked in a black sweater and jeans, looking like he just wandered in from a different life. Those kind eyes lock on mine, and for a second, I forget where I am. Tasha's voice snaps me back. "Miss Lila, you good?" And I nod, fumbling. "Yeah, keep going." Ethan smiles, soft, and says, "Don't stop on my account." Slipping to the back like he belongs there. I stumble through the rest of the class, heart racing, mind spinning. What the hell is he doing here? When the girls finally roll up their mats and scatter, he's still there, talking to Tasha about her mechanic dreams, scribbling in that worn notebook. I watch, caught between shock and something I can't name, until it's just us. "Didn't expect to see you here, Ethan," I say, crossing my arms like that'll keep me steady. "Life's funny like that," he says, tucking the notebook away. "I'm checking on a youth program we fund here. Had no idea this was your spot." He glances around, taking in the chipped walls, the mismatched chairs. "It's incredible, Lila." "Thanks," I say, throat tight. He's different, simpler, older in a way that's not just the silver in his hair. "You hungry? There's a pho place around the corner." He nods, and 10 minutes later, we're tucked into a booth at Faux Rainier, steam rising from bowls of beef noodle soup. The place is a hole in the wall. Sticky tables, flickering neon sign, but it's cozy, real. He stirs his broth, and I ask, "So, what's your story these days?" He leans back, eyes distant. After Chicago, I took a hard look at myself. You were right. I was trying to fix your world instead of joining it. Stepped back from the company, sold off a lot, focused on stuff that matters. Community projects mostly. Learned to listen more than I talk. I laugh, sharp. That's a switch. Yeah, he says, grinning. Took a while. You? Rainier Roots, I say, poking at my noodles. Built it from nothing, but it's tough right now. Might lose it. He frowns, setting a spoon down. Lose it how? Rent's killing me, I admit, voice low. Landlord's jacking it up, and some investor, Claire Voss, wants to buy it, turn it into something I don't recognize. I'm out of options. Claire, he says, like he knows her, and my gut twists. She's sharp. Used to run in my circles. What's she offering? Everything, I say. Money, security. Just gotta sell my soul for it. He's quiet, then says, "Let me help. Not with cash. I know you'd hate that. But I've got connections, ideas. We could fundraise, make it a community thing." I stiffen, old fears flaring. I can't let you fix this for me, Ethan. I've been doing this alone too long. It's not fixing, he says, voice steady. It's standing with you. Partners, not savior and damsel. You call the shots. I stare at him, the steam curling between us, and my head's a mess. He's not the Ethan from Chicago, not the suit with the dress and the gala invite. This is someone who's walked a path, same as me, and ended up here, in my world. But trust? That's a leap I don't know if I can make. Claire's contract is burning a hole in my bag, and Rainier Roots is slipping away, and now Ethan's back, offering a lifeline I'm scared to grab. Think about it, he says, reading my silence. No pressure. We finish our pho, and he walks me back to Rainier Hub in the drizzle, hands in his pockets, that calm vibe radiating off him. I'm a wreck inside, hope and fear slugging it out in my chest. He's not pushing, not demanding, but he's here, and that's enough to crack the walls I've built. I've fought so hard to stand alone, but what if I don't have to? What if I can't? Back at Roots that night, I sit on the floor, Claire's contract in one hand, Ethan's words in my head. The rain's louder now, relentless, and I feel it, the breaking point. I've got no moves left and the clock's ticking. Do I fold or do I fight? And if I fight, can I let him in without losing myself? Seattle's rain doesn't quit, but sometimes it feels like it's rooting for you. It's late March 2025, a couple weeks after Ethan walked back into my life at Rainier Hub, and I'm standing in the middle of chaos. Good chaos. The kind that makes your heart race for all the right reasons. Rainier Roots is still on the brink, but tonight it's alive. Ethan and I have spent every spare minute pulling together a last-ditch fundraiser. Not some fancy gala, but a real community throwdown. The hub's packed, tables piled with homemade tamales and cookies, a beat-up speaker blasting hip-hop, kids like Tasha and Ray running around hyping up the crowd. Fairy lights I snagged from a thrift store twinkle overhead, and the air smells like wet jackets and hope. I'm behind a folding table, pouring coffee Ethan brought. Oat milk, no sugar, a sprinkle of cinnamon, just how I like it. He's across the room, chatting with a group of parents, that worn notebook in his hand like always. We've been a team these past weeks, brainstorming, hustling, calling in every favor we've got. He's kept his word. No big checks, no swooping in to save the day. Just ideas, elbow grease, and that quiet faith that's starting to chip away at my walls. We've raised half the rent already, but it's not enough. Not yet. The door bangs open and my stomach drops. Claire Voss. She's here, coat pristine despite the downpour, eyes scanning the room like a hawk. I set the coffee pot down, wiping my hands on my jeans, and brace myself. She weaves through the crowd, stopping at my table with that same polished smile. "Lila," she says, voice cutting through the noise. "Quite the party. Last stand for Rainier Roots." "Something like that," I say, keeping my tone even. "What do you want, Claire?" She pulls out that damn contract, slapping it on the table like a winning card. "One more chance," she says. "Sign this tonight, and I'll cover your rent, triple your budget. You keep the name, the vibe, whatever you want. But we go big. Chain it up. Cash in. This," she waves at the room, "won't save you." I glance at the crowd. Ray hauling a tray of cupcakes, Tasha laughing with her friends, Ethan catching my eye with a small nod. This is what I fought for, not some corporate wellness empire. "No deal," I say, pushing the contract back. "This is bigger than money." Claire's smile twists, and she leans in, voice low. "You're a fool, Lila. I gave Ethan the same pitch years ago. Dress you up, make you fit his world. He listened then. Why won't you?" I freeze. "What?" She smirks, savoring it. "That gala invite. The dress? My idea. I told him you'd never make it on your own, that you needed a boost. Guess I was half right. You're still scrapping." The words hit like a punch. Ethan steps over, catching the tail end, his face tightening. "Claire," he says, sharp. "That's enough." She turns to him, unfazed. "Tell her, Ethan. Tell her how you bought into it. Thought she'd jump at the chance to be your little project." I look at him, heart pounding. "Is that true?" He hesitates, and that's all I need. My chest tightens, old fears roaring back. He did see me as a fixer-upper, a charity case. I'm about to bolt when he grabs my arm, gentle but firm. "Wait," he says, eyes locked on mine. "Yeah, Claire pushed it. And yeah, I listened. Back then. I was an idiot, Lila. Thought I could lift you like you said. But you shut that down, and it changed me. I'm not that guy anymore." Claire laughs cold. "You're both delusional. Enjoy your sinking ship." She storms out, contract in hand, and the room's buzzing now, eyes on us. Ethan doesn't let go, stepping closer. "I'm sorry," he says, voice raw. "For back then, for not seeing you right away. But this," he gestures at the hub, "this is you. And it's worth fighting for. Let me prove it." I'm shaking, torn between running and believing. The crowd's watching, and Ray's voice cuts through. "Miss Lila, we got this," holding up the donation jar, overflowing with bills. Tasha's next to him, grinning, and suddenly the room erupts, clapping, cheering. Ethan pulls out his phone, showing me a crowdfunding page he's been quietly building. Thousands pouring in from strangers who've heard about Roots. It's not his money. It's ours, the community's. We're close, he says, voice steady. One last push. Together? I nod, tears stinging my eyes, and we dive back in, working the room, rallying everyone. By midnight, the numbers hit. Rainier Roots is safe, not just for now, but for good. The crowd's screaming, Ray's hugging me, Tasha's dancing, and Ethan's there, smiling that crinkle-eyed smile. Claire's gone, her shadow lifted, and I realize he's not here to fix me. He's here to stand with me. Later, the hub's quiet, just us cleaning up. Ethan's stacking chairs, and I'm sweeping, the rain a soft patter now. He stops, turns to me, hands in his pockets. You did it, Lila. We did it, I say, leaning on the broom. Partners, right? He steps closer, eyes soft. Partners. But I want more. He pulls me in, slow, and before I know it, he's down on one knee. No ring. Just him. I'm not asking you to step into my world, he says. I'm asking if we can build ours together. Marry me. My breath catches. This isn't Chicago Ethan with a dress and a plan. This is Seattle Ethan. Gene's notebook, the guy who's grown as much as I have. I think about that no 3 years ago, how it led me here, to this yes I didn't see coming. Yeah, I say, voice breaking. Yes. He stands, pulls me into a hug, and the rain outside feels like it's clapping for us. We're not a fairy tale. No castles, no riches defining us. Just two people who lost each other, found themselves, and met again in the middle. Months later, we're married. Small ceremony at the hub. Ray is best man, Tasha tossing flowers. Ethan sells his old penthouse, buys a little house near Rainier Roots, and we run a foundation together, wellness and education for communities like this one. Every morning, he brings me coffee, oat milk, cinnamon, and we build side by side. I look back at that girl in Chicago, the one who said no, and I'm grateful. She didn't just save herself. She set me up for this, the real thing. Love's not about the first spark or the big gestures. It's about timing, growth, showing up when it counts. Sometimes you've got to say no to find your yes, and sometimes the rainiest days bring the brightest roots. Hey, y'all, I say, grinning like I'm toasting you with that coffee. From a no to a yes. What's your favorite moment? Subscribe and comment below. Let's keep sharing stories that matter, 'cause this one's for the dreamers who fight through the rain.